Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last session, this General Assembly passed one of the largest election reform bills in nearly 100 years in House Bill 574. This was a bipartisan bill that made it easier to vote while adding increased security measures to our elections. Like many bills, oftentimes we have to follow up to do some housekeeping, and I appreciate the opportunity once again to work with the lady from Shelby 85, the gentleman from Spencer 53, and this year the lady from Meade 27 and the lady from Campbell 67, who both provided valuable thought, input, and substance into this bill. And I'm grateful for all of their time and commitment to improving our elections. Additionally, like House Bill 574, we worked closely with our clerks, the State Board of Elections, and the Secretary of State's office. As I mentioned, House Bill 564 is not an election reform bill like we've seen last year. This is primarily housekeeping. However, there are some areas in which we have included technical changes to help increase the efficiency and the security of our elections. Mr. Speaker, will the clerk please report House Committee Substitute 1?
Mr. Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 564.
Gentleman from Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the lady from Campbell 67 for her work on the committee sub and making this piece of legislation even better, and I move for adoption of House Committee Substitute 1.
Question for the body is on adoption of House Committee Substitute 1. Is there any debate or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Brief overview of the bill. We've created a new section of KRS 117 that separates in-person absentee voting from mail-in absentee voting. This will provide clarity for reference, and you'll see that there appears to be new language in the bill, and you'll look back and it looks like that there's language that has been taken out of the bill. What we've simply done in most cases is just moved the language around into this new section. We've established times for the in-person absentee voting, the early voting, the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Those times had not been specified, and so we wanted to make sure there was uniformity while still allowing the clerks some flexibility there. The bill fixes the gap period for allowing excused absentee voting. This is probably one of the major cleanups of this bill, and it's the primary reason why we have declared an emergency, as it's critical that we get this fixed. The last day to request an absentee ballot currently through the portal was 14 days out from Election Day. After that, there was no mechanism in place to request a ballot or to vote excused absentee until the Thursday of in-person voting. So if on day 13 you find out that you're not going to be able to vote on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and on Election Day, there was no mechanism there for you to get an absentee ballot or to be able to vote. So this bill lays out that criteria that you have to meet in order to vote excused absentee, and we've taken previous statute of when you were able to vote absentee prior to COVID and applied that to this 13-day period. This is important because we have to make sure we're not punishing our hardworking Kentuckians if they find out they can't vote on Election Day or earlier. It prohibits the transmittal of absentee ballots until 6 o'clock prevailing time on Election Day. We've set up security protocol to where 2 election officials must check, record, and sign off on the numbers of the public counter of each voting machine at the end of each night of voting, and the following morning they check again to make sure that those numbers match. And additionally, the tamper-resistant seals are checked at the end of each day and the following morning to ensure that voting equipment has not been tampered with. The bill prohibits voting equipment that tabulates or aggregates votes used in official election results from connecting to any network, an internet, or any device external to the voting machine, and we have added that any attempt to do so is a Class D felony. We've required the county clerks, this has been a huge ask of everyone, the county clerks to provide precinct-level election results for voting, and this will include Election Day as well as in-person absentee voting. We've required a secure online connection for the transmittal of unofficial election results. And finally, the bill also cleans up language that if a vacancy occurs after the June filing deadline for unexpired terms, political party candidates are able to file certificates of nomination and not be limited to being a write-in candidate. Here I move for passage of House Bill 564 as amended by House Committee Substitute 1.